Across the sun-drenched rocky landscapes of Africa and the Arabian Peninsula, a rather remarkable creature makes its home. This is the rock hyrax, often called a dassie. It may look like a large guinea pig or a groundhog with its stout body and short, stubby legs, but appearances can be deceiving. Believe it or not, the closest living relative to this small, furry animal is the magnificent elephant. They share a distant ancestor, a fact that continues to astonish biologists. These creatures are wonderfully adapted to their environment, living in large colonies of up to 80 individuals basking together in the morning sun to warm their bodies after a cool night. The life of a rock hyrax is one of community and caution. They are herbivores, spending their days foraging for a wide variety of plants, from grasses to leaves and fruit. Their teeth are quite special, with incisors that grow continuously, much like a rodent's, and molars that are similar to those of a rhinoceros. This allows them to tackle tough vegetation. When they are not eating, they are often on high alert. One or two individuals will act as sentinels, perching on a high rock to watch for predators like eagles, leopards, and snakes. If danger is spotted, a sharp, piercing cry echoes across the rocks, sending the entire colony scrambling for safety within the narrow crevices of their stony fortress. These animals have another fascinating feature: their feet. The soles of their feet are soft, rubbery, and kept moist by special glands. This unique adaptation creates a powerful suction effect, allowing them to cling to and climb up incredibly steep, almost vertical rock faces with astonishing agility. It is like having built-in suction cups, giving them an advantage in their rugged habitat. This ability to navigate treacherous terrain is crucial for both finding food and escaping from danger. It is a world of vertical challenges, and the hyrax is perfectly equipped to meet them, scurrying up cliffs with a speed and confidence that really defies gravity itself. The hyrax also has a very particular way of dealing with waste. To conserve water in their often arid environments, they have highly efficient kidneys. Their urine is very thick and concentrated, and they don't just relieve themselves anywhere. Hyrax colonies use specific locations known as latrines over and over again for generations. This behavior of returning to the same spot creates something quite extraordinary. Over thousands of years, the layers of dung and urine build up, mix together, and harden under the sun. This creates a dense rock-like substance that holds a treasure trove of information, a story waiting to be read by those who know how to look. It was on the beautiful Cape South coast of South Africa, a place known for its rich fossil record, that scientists made a truly unique discovery. Researchers from the African Center for Coastal Paleoscience were exploring ancient sand dunes that had, over millennia, hardened into rock. These rock formations, called Iolianites, date back to the Pleistocene epoch, a time of dramatic climate change and iconic megafauna. As they carefully examined the rocky surfaces, they found something that no one had ever seen before in the fossil record. It was a long, shallow groove, a curious mark etched into the stone for all time. This was not a footprint, or a tail mark, or anything familiar. The impression was nearly a meter long and about 13 centimeters wide. It had 5 faint parallel lines running down its length with slightly raised edges, as if something had been dragged through soft, wet sand long ago. Using a technique called optically stimulated luminescence, which can tell us when sand grains were last exposed to sunlight, the scientists dated the rock layer. The results were astounding. The mark was made around 126,000 years ago. But the question remained: what on earth could have made such a peculiar trace? The team of scientists considered many possibilities. Could a predator have been dragging its prey? Perhaps an animal was dragging a heavy branch. But the evidence didn't quite fit. Then they considered the local inhabitants, both past and present. The rock hyrax was a prime suspect. The researchers realized that if an animal was dragging an object, its own footprints would likely be visible alongside the drag mark. But here, there were none. This suggested the animal's own body was erasing its tracks as it moved. The most logical explanation was that a hyrax, possibly afflicted with an ailment, had dragged its hindquarters across the sand, leaving this one-of-a-kind signature. This discovery was thrilling because it was the world's first known fossilized butt drag trace. It offers an incredibly rare and personal glimpse into a single moment in an animal's life from the distant past. It's not a story of a hunt or a migration, but a simple, relatable action frozen in time. Inside the long groove, the scientists even found a small raised lump, which they believe is a probable coprolite, fossilized dung. This adds another layer to the story, connecting the trace directly to the animal that made it. It's a detective story written in stone, and every clue brings us closer to understanding life 126,000 years ago. When we think of fossils, we usually picture bones, teeth, or shells, the hard parts of an animal that survive the ages. But there is another fascinating category of fossils known as trace fossils. These are not parts of the animal itself, but rather evidence of its activities. Footprints, burrows, and yes, even a butt drag mark are all trace fossils. The rock Hyrax, it turns out, is a master at creating some of the most unusual and informative trace fossils on the planet. To understand them, we must first learn about two special types of fossilized remains, coprolites and urolites. A coprolite is a very simple but important thing. In plain words, it is fossilized dung. When an animal's droppings are buried quickly in the right conditions, they can harden and turn to stone over millions of years. Coprolites are incredibly valuable to scientists because they contain clues about an animal's diet. By studying them, we can find out what ancient creatures were eating, which in turn tells us about the plants that were growing in the environment at that time. The small lump found within the Hyrax's drag mark is likely a coprolite, a direct link to the animal's last meal. Then there are urolites. As the name suggests, a urolite is fossilized urine. This is much rarer than finding a coprolite because urine is a liquid and usually just soaks away. However, the rock Hyrax is different. Its urine is extremely concentrated and rich in minerals like calcium carbonate. When Hyrax colonies use the same latrine spot on a rock for centuries, or even millennia, this thick urine cements the dung pellets together and crystallizes, forming large whitish, rock-hard deposits. Hyraxes are, in fact, responsible for creating the vast majority of the world's known urolites, building up these stony urine records layer by painstaking layer. This combination of fossilized dung and urine creates something truly unique called Hyraceum. This substance is a dark, tarry, rock-like mass that forms from the ancient hardened middens or latrines of rock hyraxes. These middens can be enormous and incredibly old, with some samples dating back tens of thousands of years. Hyraceum is therefore a natural archive, a library of ecological history. Each layer contains trapped pollen, plant fragments and chemical signatures from a specific period. It's more than just waste. It's a detailed diary of the past, written by generations of these humble, rock-dwelling creatures. The discovery of Hyraceum is like finding a history book written by the environment itself. These ancient, hardened latrines are invaluable natural archives. Because Hyraxes are not very picky eaters, they consume a wide sample of the vegetation growing in their territory. As a result, pollen from all these different plants gets trapped and preserved within the layers of the Hyraceum. By carefully drilling into a Hyraceum midden and analyzing the pollen from each layer, scientists can reconstruct what the local ecosystem looked like thousands of years ago. They can tell if the landscape was a lush forest, an open grassland, or a dry scrubland. This information is crucial for understanding past climates. For instance, a layer rich in pollen from grasses and drought-resistant shrubs might indicate a period of dry, arid conditions. A different layer, perhaps a few centimeters deeper, might contain pollen from trees and ferns that require more water, pointing to a wetter, cooler time. By piecing together these clues, scientists can build a detailed timeline of climate change in a specific region. This helps us understand how ecosystems respond to natural shifts in temperature and rainfall, providing a vital long-term perspective on the environmental changes we are witnessing today. Beyond its scientific importance, Hyraceum has also played a role in human history. For centuries, this strange rock-like substance has been harvested and used in traditional African medicine for a variety of ailments. It has also been used in perfumery, where its complex musky scent is prized as a fixative. Unfortunately, because it takes thousands of years to form, Hyraceum is a non-renewable resource. Its historical and scientific value has led some researchers to argue that it should be protected, perhaps by officially classifying it as a type of trace fossil, ensuring these precious natural archives are preserved for future study. From a simple butt drag in the sand to the vast layered archives of their ancient latrines, the traces left by rock hyraxes tell an extraordinary story. They remind us that there is so much more to the fossil record than just bones. Every track, every burrow, and every piece of fossilized waste is a clue, a fragment of a much larger puzzle. Studying these traces allows us to breathe life back into ancient landscapes, to understand the complex relationships between animals and their environments, and to appreciate the intricate and often surprising ways in which the past is recorded, waiting for us to learn how to read its signs.